All right, Mal, what's your topic?
Well, I'm going to talk about a game that was at Gen Con, even though I wasn't there.
Poor Mal.
And that is Starfinder, which
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
which Meta was lucky enough to grab and sold
Yes, I
out in like
was.
5 hours.
yeah, and
They
I think they
yeah.
even Amazon is sold out by now.
They were actually surprised. They on the tweet that they put out, they said this was overly optimistic on the number that they brought in. They did not expect to sell out, but they sold out on the
Yeah,
first day.
because I don't think they were, or I think it was all internal. They didn't use any of their, they didn't because they have so this is by Paizo, who does Pathfinder, for people to know, which is a refining of the Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 rules. They went and made Pathfinder when D&D went and made 4th edition. And then, so now they're coming out with Starfinder, which is similar rules and in space now. But yeah, they didn't use, because they use what's it called? I guess contractors? Yeah, I guess. For to help with a lot of their Pathfinder stuff for like companion books and whatnot. And this was all done internally. They didn't even play test it like they did with Pathfinder stuff. But
Really?
yeah. So
Was it
it
fun
uses
then?
a lot. It's still a D20 system. It uses a lot of the rules from Pathfinder, but it does have some big differences. And like they have their big five up on their website, and that is hit points, stamina points, and resolve points is the first big one. You now, instead of having a pool of hit points, you have basically you have kind of two, because it's almost, you end up with double the points. You have hit points and stamina points. Stamina points come off first, and then eventually hit points. And you also have a third pool, resolve points, which these are more like they kind of build into every character now, but it's like if you were to have like a grit pool or a kai pool, some classes do. Now everyone's got one. And the different classes will be able to use those points in different ways, but everyone can use 1 point and spend like a short rest, 10 minutes, to regain all of their stamina points back.
Woo.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, like I think because you end up getting the soldier class is, I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head. It was like 8 hit points and 8 stamina points per level. So you end up with quite a bit more health or whatever have you overall. But you can only heal up the stamina points easily, and even like the hit points themselves only heal your level, or maybe 2 times your level whenever you rest for the night.
I don't fully know. I wasn't able to.
I know they go a lot slower. I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 times your level though. But every time you sleep, you only get a little bit of hit points back. But your
Really?
stamina points all come back with just even a short rest if you spend a resolve point, and your resolve points regain at the end when you rest as well. So yeah.
That
And,
is really interesting.
yeah. Oh, and you can also use resolve points if you get knocked down, because you lose all your stamina, and then if you lose all your hit points and you're at 0, you can use resolve points to stay up. But if you hit 0 on all 3 pools, you're dead.
Wow.
Yeah. I am interested to see the design. I haven't actually seen a lot of the design decisions for that, but I'd be interested in seeing it. It seems pretty cool though. Like everyone can, it's not as reliant on like clerics and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like kind of from what 4E did with like hit die and whatnot. Everyone being able to at least heal themselves
Healing
somewhat.
surges.
Yeah. Now the second big thing is armor classes. You have energy armor class and kinetic armor class, because there are energy weapons. So like a flaming sword would go off of energy armor class, and then just a normal sword made of metal or whatnot would go off kinetic armor class. And then armors, or like if you would equip armor, it'll have 2 separate values. Although for the most part, they're fairly close based off armor. So you have 2 different armor pools, but in Pathfinder you actually have 3, because you also have flat-footed and touch, and you don't have that in Starfinder at all. So you only have the 2 to worry about. Flat-footed still exists, but it's a condition, and if something's flat-footed, you do 2 more points of damage against it.
Huh.
Yeah. So They say it's a big change. I don't think it's quite as big as like the hit points thing or the next one, which is no iterative attacks. So your attacks are not tied to your base attack bonus anymore.
I didn't get that far in the rules. How does it work then?
Yeah, so before it was like at 6, and then every 5 after that you could make extra attacks.
I remember that.
Up to 4 attacks for like the full base attack bonuses once you hit 16. But now, any character at level 1, 220, as they say, can choose to do a full round action, and instead they get 2 attacks at -4 to both. And then there are a few classes that will give a 3rd or even a 4th attack. So that's a pretty big difference. I actually have seen a lot of like I think mostly I've seen it's a positive change.
I actually have to kind of agree with that. I actually kind of like that change a lot. I don't know if I would say it's better or not, but I think it's a very interesting one. I did like it.
So Pathfinder has a lot of numbers coming in, like compared to like 5th edition where they simplified it a lot more.
Yeah.
But they did simplify things in Starfinder, not to the level of 5th edition for numbers floating around, but and other rules. And the next one is attacks of opportunity. A lot of things could trigger those. And now it's only 3 things, which is moving out of a threatened square, making a ranged attack, or casting a spell. That's it. Like drinking a potion, or standing up.
That's actually interesting, is that they took some of the ones that like kind of made sense, like standing up requires effort and whatnot. And I could see that provoking attack of opportunity, but they took those down. Yeah, it's just the 3 now.
Yeah, again, they simplified a lot of things.
Yeah.
Also, magic is magic. That's what they say. There's no differentiating between arcane or divine or whatnot. It's all considered the same source, basically, instead of like having different rules if you're arcane caster or divine caster. They still have different spell lists. There are only 2 in the basic or in the core book, 2 spellcasters. But and then there are also no components with the magic, no verbal or somatic. It's like fingers moving. You just have to be able to cast the spell, and like basically you have to be able to take an action to cast the spell and have concentration.
Really?
Yep. But if someone, because if you were to get hit while casting, you lose the spell.
Oh, okay. So there's no rolling to see if you keep the spell?
Right. There's no concentration checks. Anything that would have been like a concentration before is just you straight lose it now.
Yeah. Okay. Huh, well, that's a fair trade-off, I guess.
Yeah, that really only affects like really long cast, like more than an action, because if you like ready an attack to attack someone, when they cast a spell, if it's only an action spell, the attack happens after the spell. But if it's a full round action spell, your attack will cancel it if you hit.
Really?
Yep.
That seems really weird. Yeah, I would probably home rule it away from that. That seems really weird. That
well, because then you could never cast a spell like possibly.
You'll just move away.
Ranged is the dominant thing in this. If you just hold an action to take a shot at someone.
Yeah, for ranged attacks. I'm thinking melee though.
Yeah, no. There are a lot of guns in this one.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. It's really my Pathfinder life.
Yeah. Probably one of the bigger things, I guess, is the items that isn't on this list. Because like level 1, they all have levels now, which is like kind of they're like a built like DCs would be tied to an item level if an item has a DC, but it's also for when like it starts to show up. So because by default in large cities you can only get up to two plus your level worth of item levels or whatever, and smaller ones it's 1 plus your level. But and as the levels go up, the damage dice goes up.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised by that because, like, later on you can start rolling like 11 d10s. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, so yeah, people have fewer attacks and you have more hit points, so that kind of works into the hit points decision. But yeah, all like level 1 weapons are like the same damage as Pathfinder, but there's a lot less bonuses, I believe, also going to weapon damage and whatnot.
Yeah,
Which is good. Pathfinder
didn't-
has lots of math.
Right. They tried to cut down on that.
I didn't see many plus bonuses. I mean, there are abilities that your class is going to have that will add them, but
Because they also did a weapon specialization, which everyone gets at level 3, which is to you get your level in damage to each attack, unless it's an operative weapon, which is the finesse version, or small arms, which are like pistols and stuff. Then it's half your level. But like a rifle or a big sword would be your level to damage.
wait, so everybody just gets that level 3?
Yep.
I missed that. Holy shit.
Anything you're proficient in, so you have to be proficient in the weapon.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't take that as a feat at level 3. You just get it for free.
Right. Correct.
Wow.
I like the job. Like you have a job and a class.
Yeah,
kind of
actually,
thing.
They kind of
that's
had themes. What do they call it in this
like,
one? Character themes, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Instead of like backgrounds in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So they have themes, which would be like ace pilot, bounty hunter, icon, can be a celebrity, or mercenary.
I was like, this is hitting all my Macross like RPG bullet points here. I was like, I want to play a Technomancer ace pilot.
So the themes, like if you're an ace pilot, as you level up, you'll get like bonuses to basically being a pilot. They're all kind of skill based. They're not like they're not really combat based or anything like or give like extra damage or something for even the mercenary. They're all like usually skill based. They also give a point in a stat, but I've seen like on the forums like it's pretty much irrelevant because of the way like they do stats in this one, like because it's always just an odd, like by the time you hit even level 20 it'll basically just you'll have a random odd stat in your theme.
Yeah.
Probably. It affects having it in strength is nice because you can hold some more stuff, and then there are like 20 feats that have odd stat requirements, so it could help there. But for the most part, it's a little largely pointless. Whatever stat your theme gives you.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, the themes are pretty cool, similar to what 5e did, and then I think 13th Age also is a big thing for them to have backgrounds too.
Mm-hmm.
So the races, they have rules for all the Pathfinder races, and trying to convert classes over, but it has its own races built in. Only humans carry over from the core Pathfinder races.
Yep.
You have androids, which are robots that look like humans, basically.
Beep boop.
Yeah, they can install an armor upgrade slot, so that's kind of cool. You can have jump jets built into you, or or whatever, what have you, eventually. Because I think jump jets are like a level 7 item or something like that. So
Yeah.
I want jump jets installed in them.
We all want jump jets.
so yeah, that's pretty cool. You got your humans, which are pretty much a complete carryover from Pathfinder.
And they're still fantastic as ever.
Yep, they still get that feat.
Yep.
You have the Kasarthas. Yeah.
Cathartic.
Space name.
They're space samurai.
Yep, they're Space Japan.
Yeah, they are from a different solar system or what region of space that the main books, like the I guess the core story area, whatnot, or the default one. They've come from a dying world, and they ended up in this one, solar system. They've got 4 arms, which lets them carry like 4 weapons, but they don't get extra attacks because of it. But it does let you have a variety. If you had like 4 different elements in each hand, it lets you hit different energy types without having to switch over or whatnot.
Which are actually should just make mention here. The energy types that you like saw in Pathfinder and whatnot, where they were generally either had to pick up a magical weapon and it just added that type of bonus damage, or you had to be a spellcaster that had those kind of spells. energy types are all over the place this game. Like having something that
built
does
into
fire,
the weapon.
Yeah, having fire damage is the norm. Having like cryogenic, frost damage is the norm. Lightning, all of this stuff.
Yep.
It's pretty
Like,
normal.
you can even get a plasma weapon, which does half electricity and half fire, I believe.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So it's
nice.
they're these like energy types are everywhere.
They also then the next one is the Lashunatas. Yes, Lashunatas, which are basically humans with antennas, and they have a diamorphic bodies types built in. They have a built-in subrace. Basically, you pick either dwarf or elf to get a different. Either you get strength or intelligence. Yeah.
Yar.
And then
The best race coming up.
Shirans,
Yes, the best race.
the bug people.
Yes.
Yeah, they're basically so they're also from outside of the
Play a cleric.
solar solar system. They were part of the Swarm, which are basically the Tyranids from Warhammer 40k. Just hive-minded bug things that swarm over everything, or the Zerg.
Yes.
But these broke off from the hive mind and have discovered a sense of individualism, and they kind of get a high every time they make a choice. I read.
I love that fact about them. It's like they get always like a little bit happy or giddy, like whenever they can make a choice with something. It's like, do I want lasagna or do I want the sandwich?
Right. Yeah, and so they've got, I think, they've got telepathy. Blind sense. Yeah, they're bug people. They look pretty cool.
They're kind of, I think, mantid in nature. I don't have actually an image in front of me.
Kind of locusty, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Locust or grasshopper.
And then you have the Vesk, which are also from outside the solar system. They came to this one to conquer it. They're the warriors culture or whatnot. They would try and just conquer over everything.
Yeah.
But while they were fighting with this solar system, the Swarm invaded, and they the Pact Worlds, which is this solar system, and the Vesk came to a truce and then fought back against the Swarm, and they basically have a begrudging peace, whatnot.
I like that the Vesk and the cover of their race section looks like alien lizard Tim the Tool Man.
Oh,
He has a giant wrench and like a hammer on his belt.
That's actually the female, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah, the females are bigger.
It doesn't matter. It's
Oh.
Tool Man for me.
Well, excuse me. Triggered.
Alice, the Tool Man Taylor.
They've got natural weapons built in. They're good at using armor. But yeah, they're lizard people that love to fight, or at least the default for their culture or whatnot. And
Nice.
then there's the Yosoki, which are little mouse people.
Ratlings.
And they're
They've got cheek
adorable.
pouches.
They're adorable.
You can fit 19 grenades in their cheek pouches.
They're adorably dangerous.
Then you shoot them in the face and their head explodes.
Oh no! Oh.
I'm just saying, that sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's been
That
talking about it though, and
It's
yeah,
like-
someone's like, "Oh, you tripped, and now you hear a beeping coming from your teeth."
Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I didn't know I was playing Mouse Guard in space.
Wow.
uh,
It's amazing.
yeah, they love technology. They're one of their abilities is Moxie because they're scrappy and nimble and whatnot. So, those are the races. Pretty cool. I would probably end up playing a human though, like always.
I'd probably make an old Pathfinder race, or one of the bug guys. I think the bug guys are cool.
The Shiran is definitely a race I want to play, but I mean, there's just always human. I just enjoy
Right.
being human.
The humans on the Yosoki planet have red skin, I believe.
Oh.
Not that has any stats difference. They've already actually said I think in March is their first splat book, which is fully detailing out the Pact Worlds, which is where the main the official story is, I guess.
That'd be pretty cool.
And one of the Pact Worlds, they blew up their twin planet because they wanted to conquer all the planets and whatnot, so they blew that up, and that's now like an asteroid field. But it also backfired and like irradiated their entire planet, and now they're all undead. And I think rules for making one of those guys is going to be in that book.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I just found a new awesome race.
Yeah, because they to keep their society going, like they'll have like people bring them fodder to create more undead and whatnot.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I actually kind of want to do. I'm tempted. I shouldn't say want to do, but I'm tempted to join the Starfinder Society for this one because, man, I cannot wait to get into a game with Starfinder.
What is the society?
Starfinder Society. It's
like
just like the official. It's like the Pathfinder Society. It's just the official.
The Paizo.
I don't actually know what that is though.
Oh, it's
like the Adventurers League or Heroes of Rokugan.
Yeah, exactly like that. Essentially, like, you create a character, you go through, you join either generally, like, at least in the Pathfinder Society one, you join, like, a faction, and then you do adventures, and you try to progress the goal, and it's a little bit more controlled on what you can get, how, like, magical items are handed off.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've read about the Pathfinder Society, and I know, like, they limit certain rules. I just didn't know how it worked.
You just go to events and
okay.
like modules that are made for this thing by other people.
Interesting.
You play through the modules, and then like you check it off on your character or whatever.
I also want to get through the classes real quick. There are 7 of those. None from Pathfinder are in this book.
Samurai.
No. You have the Envoy, which might be my favorite actually, which is kind of
You mean Han Solo?
Well, yeah, I guess. They're the skill monkey, but also the face, and they can buff and debuff people. And then there's a mechanic where you get either a drone friend or you get an AI in your head to make you better at fighting. The mystic, which is one of the magic users and is like mystic magic. I guess old style, because one of them can even be like a druid, and then another one like channels star powers. The operative, which is the rogue, really good at hiding and using skills and decent in combat. There's a Solarian, which is kind of has a lot of force powers and a built-in lightsaber. They're the melee class. But they also focus on stars. They can either go into a gravity mode or basically a starfire mode. I can't remember what the official names are. And then there's the soldier, which is just straight combat, good at weapons and armor. And then the technomancer, which is, tech magic. Also really cool. I like the blending of technology and magic for them. One of their spells lets them they've got a few that let them create junk bots to do different tasks. Basically, you just point at a broken pile of junk and create a quick robot friend.
Crash into friends.
It's all about Technomancer or the priest one. Technomancer or priest. Yeah, they're all pretty cool. I think Mystic's my least favorite. Unfortunately, I think Envoy and Solarian fall a bit behind, at least in early game, behind like the Soldier and Operative. The Operative has an ability at like a level 3, I think, Jack of all trades, that lets it just be really good at all skills. Kind of, I think it just takes over and does the Envoy. You can just be better at skills than the Envoy, which is... But overall, I really like them.
I gotta kind of admit, the Soldier does seem to take over a little bit against the Solarian.
Early game, definitely, but
early game.
I mean, I think at like level 20, the math works out to the Solarian doing like 75 points more damage on their attacks. So
yeah, eventually the Solarians outpace them, but it does take a bit. And they're a little weaker at like, especially at like level 1 compared to a soldier. But they all look really fun. I would play any of them.
We're gonna have to play this for monthly modules.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to play this for
very
monthly
soon.
modules. We'll need to build a ship.
Yeah. It's assumed everyone has a ship.
Yes.
Of course,
everybody
you can
gets
have
a ship.
rules for not like at least for maybe you
Yes.
don't have a ship at the start or
Yes.
whatnot. But yeah, everyone gets a ship,
I
and there's
have-
rules for building it. There's
already
rules
played
for
around with them.
hex-based ship combat.
Yep.
There are
The only
rolls.
rules I've read is the ship
That-
rules.
Yeah, rolls,
awesome.
like-
I've already started trying to like think of ways to min-max ships. It was horrible. I spent like hours just sitting there going, "Oh my god, look at all
Oh,
the
yeah.
ship rules."
That's another problem is at really high levels, the ship rolls are kind of the DCs are too high. Like I think a 70, a DC 70 for a ship skill, and it's like that's way too high. You have to like be an operative to make a
Holy
70.
shit.
Don't
Yeah,
tell me the
but
odds.
that's at real high level, which very few people play, and hopefully they'll address that. The story actually seems kind of cool too. I think there's 300 years of history, and then after that point, going backwards, there's a big gap in history called the Gap, where 300 years ago, everyone kind of woke up out of or they all have amnesia, anything before that, and all records are gone. So it's very interesting. And the planet Galarian, which is the Pathfinder planet, has disappeared, and in its place is a very large space station in that orbit. And 3 years after the gap ended, some AI deities showed up and gave them interstellar travel. So, yeah, it's got some interesting story stuff, too. I've been reading through that. I'm interested, like, I want just to see how quickly they progress that and whatnot. Some don't.
I have to sit down and really look this
Yeah.
over.
Get
Yeah,
your splat book
definitely.
when it comes
I mean,
out.
the gap is interesting. A lot of people think that it is tied to the Galarian, the Pathfinder world, and whatnot. But it's probably like it's a cute way to be like, we didn't really want to do 5,000 years of history, so there's a big gap there.
Yep.
But it's interesting enough. Yeah, I have been loving the whole book and definitely want to play it.
Yep, we're going to get to it eventually.